at the National Funeral Directors Convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2016, and I've met up with Andy from the National Alliance of Grieving Children, and I was really fascinated by what his company does, and I wanted to bring him to share with you all, exactly what they're doing and how they're actually helping a lot of families. And how long has this organization been in existence?
Well, we were founded in 2004 from people in the childhood bereavement support field who work directly with children who've had someone in their life die. So it might be a parent or a sibling or a grandparent, someone who's had a significant role in that child's life. Because we realize that quite often people don't know that resources do exist for them when it comes to helping their children.
Yeah.
And so we kind of banded together, created a national organization. And since then we've seen some growth with that. We've brought in people in the organization who weren't with us, prior to that. We do have an annual conference that meets every year. We have about 450 folks who come participate every year in that. And then the other piece is we wanted to make sure that there's good information out there about kids who are grieving. Because there's lots of information, but not all of it is necessarily accurate when it comes to kids. A lot of us recognize that quite often kids are left out of end-of-life rituals, or we just don't know what to say to them. We love our kids, and so we don't want to cause more difficulty. So we don't want to make things worse. So we just don't say anything.
Yeah,
and then kids are kind of left to kind of figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, and that's what your organization is all about. Just really helping the kids to deal with the grief in a proper way.
Right. Yeah. Right. And to help the people who care for kids, to help them understand how they can help kids. So really, we and that's really why we were started, is to be able to give good information to the professionals, to the parents, to the people, anyone who's in a child's life. So if you think about it, I almost think about it like concentric circles. You have a child, so who are the immediate people who impact that child? Well, that's the parents and the family and the grandparents and aunts and uncles. Then you go out one concentric circle and you say, who else is involved in this kid's life? Well, that's their school teacher, that's their school counselor, it's their coach, it's people in the community, it's their neighbors. And so what we've done is we've put together materials, information. We have a website where people can get a lot of great information on kids and grief, how to help them, but it's information to all of those audiences, right? So there's several things coming up. We have the month of November, it's very timely to talk about this, is Children's Grief Awareness Month. Okay. We selected that month to really do some things to bring attention to the issue, because it's near the holidays, and we know that the holidays are a very difficult time for a lot of people. Yeah, for a lot of people, because they really feel the loss of that loved one. Right. Yeah. Right. In a way that that's intensified in some ways during the holidays. So there's a couple of things we're doing for Children's Grief Awareness Month. One is we're doing a social media campaign, so a Facebook campaign, and what we're asking folks to do is to just think about. The first step is really to think about themselves as a child. So the first step to helping children is to think about what it was like for you to be a child. Put yourself in their place. Right. In their place. Yeah. Right. So we're calling it the Heart for Children campaign. And the way to have a heart for kids is to remember being a kid. So on Facebook, we would ask you to change your profile picture to you as a child. So find a picture of you as a child, take a snapshot, put it in the computer, and change your profile pictures for the month of November. Now that's going to get some attention. Friends are going to be like, why are they changing their profile picture? So to help your friends understand why, we're then asking you, once you think about what it's like to be a child, try to remember at least one adult in your life who made a positive impact on your life, and get that adult in your mind, like picture them. I do this all the time, and I can picture that adult for me, right? And so once you have them in your mind, then we want you to think about 3 adjectives that describe that person. Just three descriptive words. And do a post on Facebook posting those adjectives. With saying that the person who made a difference in my life, this is who they were. And then the next step, encourage your friends to do the same thing. It's that simple. And the more people we can get doing this, I think what we do is we remind all of us, because the message is simple then, we remind us all, what do kids need?
Yeah.
Well, kids need these things. This is what they need. They need kindness and love and hope,
compassion,
and mercy, compassion, availability.
Yeah.
You know, they need
someone to listen to.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone to get them. You know, all those things. And so it just reminds us of that. And then the message is, you be that in the life of kids. Be that in the life of children in your own life.
Yeah.
Because I think what a lot of times we don't recognize how many children are really grieving around us. The current estimation in at least the United States is that 1 in 20 children, by the time they're 18 years old, will experience the death of a parent or a sibling. So it's a pretty significant amount of kids. But then you add the death of a grandparent, the death of a pet, the death of a friend at school, or the death of a role model, someone who they see. Take it even bigger than that. Kids are already living their lives experiencing death and dying. All of the princesses in the cartoons, all of them are bereaved children. So think about it. There's not one that's not a bereaved child. Cinderella, Snow White, all of the main characters in cartoons. Simba watched his dad die and then runs off to find himself and grieves his death before coming back and being able to come and be, you know, the king. Every superhero is a bereaved child. So Spider-Man's a bereaved child. Batman is a bereaved child. Superman is a bereaved child.
You're making me think about it in a totally different way now. I'm saying.
So you think about, so it's not so uncommon, and our kids are being entertained by this concept that you know, people in our life die. We should be engaged in this as parents. So we really want to get this Facebook campaign off the ground. I think if people would just participate, I think we could blow it wide open. We could really bring attention. So the second thing we're doing in the month of November is we're doing a webcast. So we've got 3 experts coming to present this webcast. The title is, or the subject matter is, Death, Dying, and Bereavement Among Urban Youth. And we all know, we've watched the news the last how many years, and it's all over the headlines, all the death, dying, everything that's happens in our urban communities. And so we wanted to have a educational opportunity for those who care about kids who are bereaved to better understand what's the plight of a child who's living in an urban community when it comes to death, dying, and bereavement. So we have 3 experts in the field who work with urban youth, and they'll be presenting this live webinar. We're doing it live from Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland. So that'll be November 3rd. And then the last thing really is we have a children's activity book that we've put together, and it's really more than that. It's really a caregiver guide, and we're trying to get this resource out there. So what we're asking is anyone, companies, individuals, if you want to buy like 50, 100, however many of these books, take them to your local school, elementary school, and say, hey, we're donating these books. So when the death happens, you can put it in the hands of kids. Take it to your local funeral home. Donate it to your funeral home, and let your funeral directors put it in the hands of families. So when anyone dies, a grandparent, whoever dies, when there's kids involved,
they know how to.
They have a resource that helps them understand that.
And what you told me before is not just for the children; it's also for the adults that are around to be able to teach the children how to deal with it in an appropriate way.
Right. It's not a typical activity book in that the child sits down and just does it. The child needs to sit down with an adult in their life, and then we have tips. So it's written in such a way where there's tips to the adult down the side of every page. Gives them information on, answers their questions. Should my kid go to the funeral? What if it's a death by suicide? What if it's a death by homicide? How do I talk to my child? How do I explain these things? And then there's activities that they can do with their kid to help them understand.
And I think that's important. That's because the book by itself is not a heal-all, but the part of the therapy is the adult working with the child. So it's actually it's made to work together.
Well, and so it was also written that way because research, all the research that we have right now on childhood grief, points to the top indicator on how well a child will do in their grief is their connectedness to their caregiver, whoever that is, whether it's whoever's raising them, whoever that parent figure is. their connectedness to that person is the number one factor in how well they'll do.
Oh, wow.
So we couldn't put together a resource that didn't at least create the opportunity for adults to interact with their kids. And it's funny because what happens is, as parents, when we don't have the information, we often just don't say anything because we don't want to cause harm. And ultimately what that's doing is it's actually we don't mean to, but it is causing harm to our children.
Because we're leaving them on their own to kind of figure it out for themselves, which is not,
Right. Instead of including them, having them part of the family, and having them be able to interact with you on this very difficult topic that all of us are going to face
at one point or another.
Right.
So no, I think it's wonderful, and that's what actually drew me to your booth first. That book that I saw, and I definitely concur that it's a great resource for the children, for families really alike, to work together to go through this process. So November is going to be that month. The Facebook posting, once they do that, I'm going to put a link also for your website on there as well too.
Yeah, please do. So if they do the Facebook thing, that'll connect them to the Heart for Children campaign. They can also, we've got some little hearts like that. These are our hearts for children. So we're asking people to wear these the month of November as well. So when you're at work, and people at work will go, hey, what's that pen about? Then you can tell them, well, it's my Heart for Kids. And here's what my Heart for Kids is. I think kids need these three things because an adult in my life did that for me when I was a kid. So we're able to be sort of ambassadors and carry that message. You can order those pens on our website. It's just what it costs us to make the pens. We just want to get them out there. So we already distributed over 4,000 of these pens around the United States. We want to distribute 10,000 more. We'd love to have them all over so that people begin asking that question, what does this mean? The other thing is it will direct people back to where they can provide support to their local bereavement programs, or they can provide support to those of us who are working on a national level. It's certainly their option to be able to support this cause. So, I think it's in some ways we're trying to help people better understand what it means to be a kid and grieve, and how you help those kids who are grieving. Right?
So we want you to help us to get the word out. So as you're watching this, we hope you participate with this. I'm going to put a link for the website on there as well too, that you can go and you can join up. And the materials that they have, you can also order from the website, the books, the pen, and all those things. And from just talking to you, it sounds like it's great. It's helping children dealing with grief, but it also helps to build the family structure as a whole. It sounds like it. It's just
I think so.
Putting that bond. Whether it's a grieving child or not, it's just putting the bond between the child and the parent or the caregiver in place. Right.
Well, a family, if you think about it, families are transitioning. When someone dies, there's a transition happening, and often, particularly even if it's a mom or a dad, the family feels like. Children sometimes can feel like I don't have a family anymore. I don't have a dad, or we hear this all the time, and then they struggle with what does it mean to be a family. So if you can bring families together, that's where that kid is going to fare better. And it's great that we have support, and we do. There are support centers all over the United States. There's over 700 all over major cities, rural areas, where people can access support, and I encourage people to do that. But I also encourage them to connect in the home. And that will make a world of difference for their kids. And then they can all be supported by these groups that are out there to give them good information and help them along the way.
So this is a National Alliance for Grieving Children, and grieving is not just for death. Children grieve for a lot of different reasons, so I think this can actually help them in so many areas. So I'm so thankful you came to join us, Andy.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you. We want you to help to get the word out. That's kind of the key thing we want to push to action here, is to help get the word out about this National Alliance for Grieving Children, about this month that's coming up in November, so that we can have more people aware of what the children need. And as you said before, to think back to what we needed when we were children. That's what did we need? Even some things. What did we feel that we missed out on? What did we lack? And that's how you can help. The next generation. Because you might not have had the person. You might have said, I wish I had somebody to listen to. But that's where we can now be that void that was in our own lives. So thank you very much, and we hope we'll join with us as we get the word out about the National Alliance for Grieving Children.